you guys time just sitting here trying to get it run locally. All right, so welcome back to class, guys. It's week 6, day 1. It's going to be our last week of React. This is a high-level overview. We're going to talk for a couple minutes about how we can build a really complicated project, or how project management works. So typically in a software development context, every single time you guys have one feature, you guys should have exactly one pull request. Like change header, update title, update navigation bar, something like that. So that whenever we're looking back on our history of our repository, we can easily look at each pull request and understand how our project has changed over time. That being said, each pull request is typically, it corresponds to a single issue. So like it depends on like what company you're working at, how they do it. They might have GitHub issues. They might have Trello cards. They might have Jira tickets. Who here knows what Jira is? Anyone here know what Jira is?
Oh, I know Jira.
Yeah? Jira is one of the world's largest issue tracking like software development companies, blah, 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 blah. Okay? I don't know, like they just built a ton of software that have to do specifically with software development, okay? But anyway, so this is a really popular solution. You guys are probably gonna have to get to know how to use this one day. This is just a whole bunch of complicated stuff. Like their whole class is taught on this, okay? You guys with me? Right? Just like if you look on Udemy, their entire class is taught on Google Analytics, for example. Come on, baby. Google Analytics. This entire class taught on just how to use this one tool, okay? So Jira is the exact same way. Jira is the exact same way in which it's a really complicated tool, and it provides a lot of different things for a lot of different people. So like it's just we're not gonna get into it for detail. But in terms of software development, all we need to understand for this class, for software development, is that typically every single time you have a new job, something that your boss wants you to do, they're gonna create a new ticket or a new issue or a new card, and they're gonna assign it to you guys. And then whenever you guys are done, then you guys create a pull request and you should be able to fix that issue, that ticket, that card. Does that make sense, everyone? I know that you guys are all working this weekend. It's kind of hectic. Everyone's new to Git. So I know that like each time you guys made a pull request into master, you guys fixed a bunch of fucking things. Like you changed 20 different colors and you changed 20 different paddings. But typically that's not how it's supposed to work. That's why sometimes you guys ran into merge requests. I think a part of this class is to make you guys merge requests, like have merge conflicts, so that you can like get through it and know that you can fix it. All you gotta do is read the code. That's what you've been doing for the last 6 weeks, guys. Or the last 5 weeks. This is week 6. Just read the code, and then you guys can easily resolve a merge request or merge conflict. So yeah, get comfortable doing that. And anyway, like this is something that Charles said that like I agree with. It's like you're professionals at writing code. You got to write code professionally as well as share it professionally. So what does that mean? So for example, like if I'm a cook, right? If I'm a cook at a restaurant, right? And I cook the most amazing dish, right? I go in the kitchen, I cook this most amazing dish, a customer comes in, they want a spaghetti. I take the spaghetti and I just throw it on the ground. What the hell is everyone gonna say to me? Are you fucking high, Lloyd? Are you fucking retarded? You do not fucking cook the best meal in the world and just throw it in front of someone's face. You gotta put it on a nice dish, and like put a little fork and a spoon on it or some shit, and then slowly bring it out correctly and put it on the table politely. That's what a pull request is, okay? So you guys may cook good, but regardless of how good you cook, you need to follow the rules, okay? Follow the rules when you pull request. Each pull request should be small. If you guys are changing between 10 and 15 files, you guys are probably doing it wrong. Yeah, you shouldn't be touching that many files if you're changing one thing. This is something that will take time. Like I don't expect you guys to understand everything what I'm saying right now, but I want you guys to just know at a higher level what's going on here, okay? Because you guys can get yelled at for not doing this correctly. I have personally been yelled at for not doing this correctly, okay? When you guys are on a team of like 15 people like me, you guys are gonna feel some heat then, okay? You can feel some heat, especially with there's a lot of money on the line. Okay, for the project presentations, I'm gonna skip over this now. We're gonna do it in the afternoon. I remember looking at it on Saturday. I saw one team, Quinn's team, working on Saturday. Who's got your guys' GitHub? Who's it on?
We already added as collab.
Really? I don't see it.
We just added.
No, but I don't see any. I don't see any.
Oh, you should check your
Check your
email.
email, right? Check your email.
I'm looking. Oh, you just did.
Yeah, I just.
Okay. Nice. Okay, I want to try to get this set up, but I don't want to do this in front of class. I don't want to waste too much time, okay? I want to focus on what we're talking about today because this is super duper important. Just like everything I say is important. I know, it's so stupid when I say that, huh? So you can skip all this right now. Just know it's the same process, okay? Like just like you guys see me talk to you guys every single week. Every 2 weeks, Charles comes and talks to me, and he tries to get his head into my head. He's trying to figure out what I'm doing, you know, because he wants to know whether or not I'm happy, what he can do to make me do my job better, how we can run the company better. And that's what the point of a sprint retrospective is that like this is where you guys are allowed to complain. You know, you guys are allowed to say, you know what, I really fucking hate talking on Slack, man. Fuck it, everyone's on Messenger. We're all Facebook messengers. Why wouldn't we just make a Messenger group? This is fucking ridiculous. We're allowed to say shit like that, okay? Like, and as team members, I think that is a skill to be able to say something in a way that doesn't offend everyone else. You know, because it's like, I'm sure that you guys have felt it, but you guys have done this so far in your group projects, right? You really wanted something done this way, and you try to say it, and like, it just, for some reason, no one on the team listens. You know? So we gotta get better at that skill. You know, this is like about building a team and getting people behind you. Because one day you guys are gonna have like 5 different people with 5 different ideas, and if maybe your idea is in fact the best idea, right? The best idea. Somehow we got to figure out how to convince these other 4 people to come along with us, though. Okay, that's a real skill, and we're gonna need to do this if we want to, you know, be top dog. I guess you could say. It's not even about being top dog. Just know that like we need to communicate effectively. No man is an island unto themselves. Okay, this is an English saying, or a saying in English. No man is an island unto himself. Vietnamese friends, you guys all understand what this means? Who here understands what this means?
No, maybe.
It means that no person lives on an island. We all have to work with someone. Okay, we all have to work with someone, and so like a part of this. Oops. I got a match on Badu, okay? Sweet. Yeah, just means that like guys, like we gotta learn how to work with people, and sometimes it's difficult, and sometimes we gotta get them to see our point of view. I hope that like this project, like you guys like kind of got a good feel of like how creative you can be. You know, like you guys can build almost anything you want at this point. For those of you who understand what we talked about the last 3 weeks, man, just know that every single UI in the world is almost exactly this design pattern that we've been doing. Fucking draw some shit on the screen, you know? Give me some images. Make some text bigger than the other. Make it different colors. Put it inside of a card. Make mini cards next to each other. Make mini cards on top of each other. Shit like that. That's pretty much every single website in the world. So anyway, yeah, that's sprint retrospective. Every single company also takes this at different levels of seriousness. There's some people like think of this like a religion almost. You know, like this is, we have to do every single thing to the book. Some people don't really care that much. It just depends. So product feedback, we'll skip this until later. I think you guys all know each other well enough. You guys all know what could have done better. At least I think you guys all should have been thinking about that. Like if you were a technical lead, right, and you can make a decision on your team, what you change to make this project run smoother? Who here knows what they would do? Anyone? You guys can't think of anything you guys would have want differently to like make this project run better? Come on, let's hear some volunteers. I want to see this one right here. Come on, this is the one I was just talking about. This is the one I'm really interested in. Every single project is not perfect. There are a million things that went wrong. Motherfucking Lloyd doesn't know how to write code. He doesn't understand what a route is. He doesn't understand what a state is. He needs to take a class. Something like that. Or maybe like, you know, like no one ever checks their Slack. or no one Gwen isn't on Skype. Every project could be better.
Yes. I think we should do like in a standard way to do quick component, each component, and to the app, remove everything in the app.
We started everything.
Yeah, and
Now we have quite a few components.
and then when we start a refactor, it's gonna be a lot of mess. So which one do you think is better? We'll take the app and take it out, or try to do
Good job.
separately and put it in. Yes, but then we have to think about it. But then we have to, it's easier to do everything inside, but then we have to think harder to make it outside. But then it has the advantage of independent. We silo.
Yeah.
So I can't say, guys, I'm sorry. This is a little bit. I know some of you guys aren't Vietnamese and you can't read this, but this is what I think about when I think about software development. Up here, who here has seen Shark Tank before? Yeah. So this is this is an episode of Shark Tank that just came out like a couple weeks ago, I think. One guy says like, hey, whenever you start a new project, you always have to think about what happens when you fail. That's the guy up top. The guy in the middle was like, you know what? I really like where you're going with this. When you start a new project, you never ever think about failure. And this guy at the bottom is like, whenever you think about a project, don't even give a fuck about what everyone else says.
I think it's fake.
I don't know if it's true or not, whatever. But I think the point is, it's the same. It's the same point. The same point is no one actually knows how the fuck to build software the best way. Everyone's just trying to figure this shit out. Okay, if we can build software either faster, cheaper, or better, any one of those three, you can make like $1 million this upcoming year. I don't give a shit what project. If you can prove that you can build it faster, cheaper, or better, every one of those things is valuable. But I guarantee you guys will be spending the next couple of years of your life. You only know how to solve one of those problems. Even one of them, you can't solve by yourself. You need a whole army of people to help you. So just know that just like this thing right here about startup, Shark Tank is about startups. No one really knows how to make a successful startup. The same thing is true for software. We all kind of have some ideas, some like overarching principles that you're supposed to follow, right? A startup is supposed to make more money than you spend. Pretty simple. It's supposed to add value to this project, make your customers' lives happier. That's how you have a successful startup. Well, in software development, it's the same thing. We got a whole bunch of different rules that people think are the kind of, the best way to do it. But no one actually knows in the grand scheme of things. So it's your job as a team lead or as a team member to suggest things, just come up with ideas. And I think that might be one of the most valuable contributions you guys can have is updating processes, suggesting things that make your company run better. So I actually do want you guys to do 1 through 5 right here. Can you guys write this one down? This is the last one we'll do right now. Write this down either in your notepad or like somewhere you can keep it. And I want you guys to look back at this at the end of class. It's just 5 simple sentences, 1 sentence for these 5 questions, guys. Okay?
Do we have the slides for this week?
I sent it in Discord. What was the hardest technical concept this week? GitHub? What part of GitHub?
I think the one with, the key, the React, that the API key, 590 key. So it's kind of hard. So when she push it and then do the git ignore stuff, but for some reason it remove or it add, and only one person can add it to GitHub.
Can add what to GitHub?
Can push the project to GitHub because I can pull it, but if I push it, it doesn't work. It didn't work. It didn't allow to merge, something like that. So because I think because of the environment key, environment variable.
Do you guys have issues with that?
Actually, we have to do it manually, which is a pain.
That's weird.
Even if you did it wrong, you should only be changing 2 lines of code, man. Even at the worst case, but worst case scenario, you guys both wrote the exact same line of code in the .env file. That means when you pull, you have to replace that one file, and that file is 2 lines long, right? All right, what else is the hardest technical concept? What? I can't hear you. When are you talking? All right, fine. If everything was easy, moving on. Tired of talking to you guys. All right, so why was this project important? Because it was reasonably complex. There's a whole bunch of shit you guys could have done. The truth is, yeah. And this is focusing on using as much JavaScript as we can, okay? Because know that in the future, you guys may no longer be using React, and you're probably still gonna need to know JavaScript. But I think the most important thing is teamwork and collaboration. We gotta learn how to deal with people. We gotta work with someone who sucks. We gotta work with someone who's a pro and figure out how to help them. Someone may be a lot better than us, and we still gotta help that motherfucker, okay? Because we're all on the same team. Okay, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. And I hope you guys have an understanding of why React is better. If you guys think about what we've been doing over the last 2 weeks compared to what we originally did in 2 weeks of JavaScript, you guys can see that this is a lot different. Okay, we're not doing document.getElement by ID. Now our application just reacts to the state. Remember, it just reacts to the state of the application, right? If we did it correctly. If we have 100 movies in our state, then we should see 100 movies on the screen. And if we filtered it, or if we searched through a search term and we have an active search term, then we should throw away all the other ones and only keep the ones that match the requirements. Okay, so now we're gonna talk about what we're doing this upcoming week. You guys keep asking. The truth is, you guys only learned a little bit, and there's a lot more to learn. I'm talking about a shit ton more to learn. I brought a book here last week, 800 pages. That's pretty much what you guys need to learn a little bit of React. I don't even think that's all of it, to be honest with you. So just know that there's a lot more to learn, but you guys do know the most important concepts, I would say. That being said, we only have a finite amount of time in this class. We need to move on, okay? So what are we going to be moving on to? Today we're going to be looking at React Router, a way to route our applications to different pages and have different content and etc. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at unit testing. I know that many of you guys have run into this problem where like you fix one thing and then you break something else. That's what unit testing is. We're testing individual units of our application, making sure that the behavior is what we expect. On Wednesday, we'll be using Redux. This used to be really hot in React, but it's fallen out of popularity because there are many other solutions out there to solve the problem of passing data. So we're going to be spending a little bit of time on it, and you guys may in fact need to know it, but just know that like we're not spending a lot of time on this because it's falling out of favor. It's fallen out of favor. On Thursday, we're going to have organizing our portfolio, and on Friday, I believe there's going to be an interview prep. Okay, so there's going to be some people come in to help you guys prep for interviews. Do you have any questions?
So what is the replacement for Redux?
No, it's just like there isn't really a replacement. It's just that Redux is trying to solve a problem that like most of the times that people just aren't structuring their application correctly. That's why they think they need Redux. Yeah. Redux is for sharing data between all our components. We can just use POPs for that. Yeah.
So if we do it correctly, we don't need Redux.
Well, I don't know. Personally, I don't like using Redux. Yeah, like I think it's too complicated. You know, I think it's the way that like it's trying to do a lot of fancy code. But to me, in my personal opinion, I've written very complicated applications without using Redux. And all I gotta do is pass properties this way. You know, like it's actually not that complicated to get data where you need it, in my opinion. So I don't think Redux is that popular. I don't personally like it. I have used it professionally before. So I do think that like you guys should have an understanding of what it does, but just know that like, you know, it's falling out of favor. It's getting less and less popular.
So now people just use straight up props.
Yep. Because there's only one thing that you need to know everywhere. Current user. That's the only thing you guys will ever need to know in every single part of your application. Redux is trying to solve that problem. How can I share any piece of data with any other part of my application? And I'm going to show you an example here in just a minute where the vast majority of times you do not want that. You don't want to have this data available everywhere. The vast majority of times you only want the current user available everywhere. That's the only thing. So I'll show you an example in just a second. Okay, this week we'll start to organize everything, okay? Make our portfolios better. We're gonna have our TAs give you guys code reviews. Who here wants actual grades? This is something I've been thinking about. Who here wants grades on their homework?
We want feedback.
No, but do you want grades? Do you want me to tell you what I would, like if you were interviewing at me, do you want me to tell you what I think that what would score in level of skill? Who wants that?
Do we have a rubric or something?
Of course, we're gonna have like 1 sucks, 5 good. 1 is I'm not hiring you, 5 is I would want to hire you. Who wants to have that? Raise your hand, who wants to have that? Okay, only 2 people? Okay, I'm just thinking about we'll have like styles, code, etc. Okay, so I only see Kung and Gwen. Everyone else is just, you guys are just gonna get maybe some suggestions. Yeah, some code reviews, okay? Anyway, just to give you guys a pat on the back, give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are halfway through the class at the end of this week, okay? Come on, let's do it. I know it's been tough. I know. You guys are halfway through the class, but no, man, this is a long ass way to go in terms of like learning how to build everything. I hope you guys recognize that. I'm not trying to scare you guys. I just want you guys to know that, like, I personally believe you guys, if you guys work really hard, you guys are gonna be qualified to work at places. You guys are gonna be qualified to work at companies like VSA Rare, for example. That being said, what have you learned in 6 weeks? You learned how to write code. You learned how to Google. Those things aren't jokes. Googling isn't just about like just smashing in random shit. It's about knowing the correct keywords. It's about knowing how to scan it and move quickly and look for the data that we want, right? We've also learned how to debug. Certain places will have certain data that we need, whether it be a console log, whether it be the React terminal, React tab bar. There's different places that will have different pieces of data that we want, okay, to debug our applications. Sometimes we need to look at network requests, right? Did we make a request? And in just a moment, I'm going to show you guys that, okay? Also, we learned teamwork, kinda. Some of us are still struggling with Git. Some of us are still struggling with Git. I get that, okay? That's very, very, very normal, okay? Some of us are also trying to figure out how to learn better. We're all struggling. We're trying to figure out what the best approach is. I get that. So just know that, this is a lifelong journey. I estimate that, you guys are going to be reading tutorials and documents online for the next 5 years. If you're anything like me, okay? And that's okay, because every single day you guys are going to be getting better. Lastly, I hope you guys learned a lot about not giving up. Because I've been saying it a lot in class. Like, if you don't want to read this, all you got to do is quit. I'm just dead serious. But all you guys are still here, so that means you guys have not given up yet. There's a lot more to talk about in React that we haven't talked about yet. These are all the shit that we haven't talked about. But just know all these things right here, they're actually they're just nice to haves. Who here knows what the difference between a have to have and a nice to have is? Have to have, nice to have. Okay, so this is an important concept in software development as well. It means that any company, if you gave the product owner a piece of paper and told them write down all the shit that they they wanted, that piece of paper would be infinitely long. There's never ever going to be an end of what they want to have. But as a company that has real investors, a real amount of time, a finite amount of resources, you have to distinguish what's nice to have and what you absolutely have to have. Okay, so all this shit right here is nice to have. What we've shown you so far is you absolutely have to know the other shit in order to be a React developer. All this right here, you can get a job without talking about shit like this. Okay, but this is all stuff that is useful in very specific situations. Okay. Okay, so today, once again, we're going to talk about React Router. It has to do with routing. So React Router is like a kind of complicated thing. It's a different type of component. It's a higher order component that passes props through to its children. I'm going to show you guys that in just a second. The most important thing that you guys got to think about with React Router is that we can update the history of our URL in the browser without actually changing things. And the thing is, I'm going to show you guys in just a moment, and then I'm going to turn off my screen, and I'm sure most of you guys are going to be confused and not know how to do it. So what do I always tell you guys about whenever you guys work with a new library? What are you supposed to be doing? Yes, look at the documents. Okay, so here's the application that we're going to build. Oops, I turned off the wrong server. So you guys can see that we have a web application that has candidates. If we look at our root path, we have our candidates path. I can click home and see a home page. It's some content. I put some lorem ipsum in here, but I want you to know that these are different pages. Look at the URL. The most important thing to think about right now is the URL. So at our home page, we have a home page. At our colors page, we look at our URL. We have colors, and here's a bunch of colors. On our About Us page, look at the URL. It changes, and we also have some information about us. The most important thing right now is the candidates page. If we go to the candidates page, we see a list of candidates. These are people that we could potentially hire. Okay? So I'm gonna open up my URL, my network tab, and you guys look at the network. And if we click remove candidate, you guys will see that we make a, preserve log. If I click remove candidate, we make an API request to localhost 3001 to this candidate/ID, and it's a delete method. Okay, so we can delete candidates from our database. Okay? Have any questions so far? Later on, if you guys get done early, we can click edit and look at a specific candidate. And you'll notice that the URL right here contains the candidate's ID. Okay? We got to figure out how to manipulate this thing right here. Right here. This is probably the most important thing of today's lab. How can I manipulate this? How can I change it? How can I get my application behave definitely based on this URL? Okay, so we don't have any questions. I'm going to stop everything, and I'm going to create a new project. So I'm going to move over to El Captain. We'll do npx create react at r.router. R for React, and this is our router application. Thus, yes. So now we're going to go back to our instructions, and we can see that we need to install this dependency right here. Okay, so I'm just going to Google it to see the npm command. I'm going to see. Let's go ahead and move into our project now. Okay, so now we're inside of our project, inside of El Captain, r-react router, r-router. Obviously, we still have all the boilerplate code. We got our initial get folder, our get ignore, our readme, etc. So I'm looking at the documentation. I can see that all we got to do is run this command right here. Okay, we'll copy npm install react router DOM. I run it, and in a few moments, I expect our package.json to have react router DOM. So let's look at our package.json. I don't see it here yet. I only have 3 dependencies. Let's go ahead and start looking at these examples. So here's the most basic example. I want you guys to do this part before you guys do anything else in just a moment, okay? You can see that. What do we have here, guys? What's this right here? What are these 3 things?
Function.
Yeah, it's a function. What is this function going to do? What's another word for this function? Yes, it's a component. Who said that? Was that you, Fun? Good job. These are components right here, okay? These are all components. What kind of components are these? These are functional components. They're not class components because they don't have a render method. And we don't see the class keyword right here, right? We don't see extends react.class or whatever, right? And then you guys can see right here that we have what happens to these components. What's happening to this index component? It's being passed as a property to this component called route. That's kind of a high level overview. I know that that's a bit confusing. So let's just turn on our server and see what happens. What do you guys expect to see? I expect to see like a default page. Okay, we got our default React page. Let's go ahead and delete everything inside of here. And just call it H1 candidate page. If I save, it seems that everything has gone well. Okay, so let's go back to our examples and let's just copy everything in here. Okay, let's go ahead and delete this, paste this, and now we see that React is complaining because we defined some components and we didn't use it. So how can we use these 3 components? Let's just look down at these examples right here and copy them. It said you should not use route outside of a router. It's complaining and saying that we need to wrap everything inside this router component. You see that right there? I moved too quickly. So we're going to go ahead and stick all our routes inside of our router. And then we're going to nest it correctly. So we jump back over here. Where's this home coming from?
The first function.
It's coming from, exactly, this first component on line 7. We'll call this the index component. Index component. And we see that this index component is rendering right here. But notice what happens whenever I change the route. Okay? If I go to about, what's going to happen? It will say about. It's the simplest way we can do this, right? Why is it saying about here and not home? There's one line of code that if I change this fucks up. What line of code if I change it with this break? What line of code, guys? 24. What do I change? Yeah, I want to break it. You say anything I want. If I refresh it now, it doesn't understand that route. Okay? So you guys will see that line 23, 24, and 25, we're defining the path. We've heard this word before, path, right? So at our URL, right, if we go to about, the /about, we are mapped to a specific component, our about component. But if we go to /users, we're mapped to another component, our users component. So I guarantee you if I delete everything inside of users right here, or my bad. I delete the path, I look at the U path, I type in users, React will understand this route right here. It'll understand it on line 25. And then when it understands it, it's going to render our users component. So let's go ahead and test it. And that works.
So before we used to have app as like the main component that everything went into, and now we have app and it has a bunch of routes that go to other components, which are the main
Exactly. That's exactly what it's going to be. And guess what? So I'm going to tell you right now. App has one very, very, very important thing that it needs to do. It needs to figure out who you are. That's the first thing you figure out. That's almost the most important. That's almost the main reason there is an app. Because when you have a new user, you need to be able to tell your entire application who this user is. When you have a current user, that's almost the most important responsibility of the app component. Tell me who the fuck I am, and pass this down to these other ones. So right now, you guys can see that we've defined 3 components. Let's go ahead and define one more. We're gonna call this one classroom. Okay, I'm making this up on the spot, guys. So I hope you guys are having fun. Okay, so we're gonna make this up on the spot. We're gonna say H1, hi class. We're gonna give it a style of 100 width. Let's do it. Height of 500, width of 600. Background color. I spelled this wrong. Background color of blue. Okay. Okay, I think this will work. So I want to render this classroom component, guys. Can someone help me do that? I want this to show up on the screen somewhere.
Copy one line down and classroom.
What do I need to change here?
Classroom.
Classroom. Okay, we'll call this one classroom. And then I need to switch the component that goes in here. Oops. So we can't just use users. We just put it on our classroom component, okay? So now when we go to our route and then we type in classroom.
Name from on 34.
Yeah, I see it. So we're gonna go to classroom, and we do in fact get this page rendering. It's typically called pages, to be honest with you. That's how on a phone it would be called screens. On the browser, it's called pages. Okay. So just notice that this classroom component is only ever going to render if the route is classroom. Who here understands what I just said? What did I just say?
Yeah.
What did I just say? You just raised your hand and you said you understood. What did I just say? Huh? Okay, what's your problem then? Look, I just showed you how to create a new path. I just showed you how to create a new path that our app can understand. What if I typed in pink here? What if I typed in pink box? Would that work? Let's look at this. Do you think this will work right here? It also works. But that's the stupidest fucking name I've ever seen for a route, okay? Never ever call your route pink box. There's a blue box that renders to it, okay? That's retarded. I don't like saying that word all the time because I really want it to mean something, but that is retarded, okay? That is stupid. I'm gonna yell at you if you guys do that, okay? Only ever call your path what goes inside of it. That's only what you should call it, okay? All right, so I've been talking for 35 minutes. Holy fuck, I've been talking a while. I want you guys to create an application and create a couple routes for me. Okay, an About Us page, a candidates page, and any other one that you guys want to build on any application you built so far. Go ahead and continue moving on. Okay, so you guys can see that our application oops, I didn't turn on the server. I need to turn the server on. You can see that our application at the home root, that all we do is render our index component, right? And then later on, we have what? About, as well as users. Okay, so for our application today, what are we building, guys? Remember, we're building a candidates application, right? So the thing is that our users are almost never ever going to know the routes that they're going to be clicking or going to. They don't even know. They have no fucking idea. They need buttons. Okay, so they need something that they can click and it has a title. And luckily, React Router has given us an example of this. So we copy our nav over here in the documentation and we jump back to our app component and paste it. Oops. We can see that we'll now have, oops, we did this wrong. It needs to go inside of our router. So we save it and we can see that we have our router up here, okay? So now if I click about, you guys will notice what happens to the about up here in the URL? It changes. And this is all from this component that we got for free from React Router DOM. It's a link component. It takes two it takes two props. My bad. It takes one prop. The prop that it takes is the to prop. And what is this value? It's just the route. Yeah, it's a string that shows us the route that we want to go to. So, for example, if I click on users and I want to go to candidates, I can just do this right here. Right? So for example, I click on users right here. Notice what happens to our route right here. It goes to candidates. Does that make sense, everyone? I click on, so right now the link to, it should not be users, it should be candidates. Okay, we save. I click on candidates. I'll notice that my route goes to candidates. I click on about. I notice that the route goes to about. Click on home. We notice that this goes to home. Okay. If you guys see this one property right here on line 46, this is a special property that React Router takes called exact. This property says the route has to exactly match this. And why does that matter? Because if we do not put this exact property onto our route component, then line 46 will register true for every single route. Every single route will have a slash at the beginning. So I'm going to show you what I mean. So right now we see that line 46 does not have exact. I expect that we'll see the index page on the about, on the users, as well as on the candidates page. So we can see that we have our index component. We click on our candidates. We have our candidates component as well as our index component. And the reason why that is just like for you, those of you who have learned how to use the switch statement, have gotten familiar with the switch statement, the line 46, it's falling through, okay? So this path right here on line 46 also matches this one right here, okay? Because it's simpler. So we want this to be exact because we do not want to render our index component slash page on the candidates page, okay? So let's look at our lab. In our lab, you guys will see that we've gotten a link to this tool called Mockaroo. A high-level overview of what this tool does is that basically we can create a lot of JSON objects with whatever fields that we want. So right now we can see that Mockaroo allows us to create with ID, first name, last name, email, gender, etc. We can add another field and we can say its value is whatever we want. So let's just say, I don't know, let's just say city. Let's call it city, for example. We can call the key whatever we want. We'll call it city. We'll say home city. Home city. We can do preview. And then when we look at our preview, we can see all this data that it generates for us, okay? Oops, fuck. Preview. I did it wrong. City, home, city. And then from here, we can choose the value of this key, okay? I'm just gonna select city right now. If I look at preview, I can see that it's gonna create a JSON, like a big JSON object, and it's just gonna have a whole bunch of data. It's called placeholder data. Sometimes we do this, okay, as software developers. We just use placeholder data so we can get building quickly. I don't have time to wait around for my API. I got other shit to do. Okay, that's what the objective of this tool is. You guys can all create your own data if you want, or you can just take the data that I prepared for you. You guys decide. Please tell me that I did not delete that. Motherfucker. Okay, hold on. Calm down, guys. I found it. Okay, here it is. So here's our data. I'm sharing it in Discord. Okay. Where is Discord? Data. Candidate data. I want you guys to all copy that to your local machine, and in just a few moments we're going to be working with this data, okay? So what do I mean by that? So if we look at our instructions for the lab, if you guys install, or if you get that data, and then you run this command right here, npm install --save JSON server in your project repository, you're gonna be able to run a new type of command. We're gonna run a different server, a JSON server. So I'm running it, it's installing all the packages. The next thing I'm going to do is just copy. Okay, run this command right here and copy this, okay? And we need to get this file and put it in our root of the project, okay? So I'm going to, where is it at? Get this data. We're gonna download this file. Okay, we're gonna look at it. Okay, this one happens to be called candidates.json. Okay, I'm gonna copy it. Go over to my project. reveal in Finder, and paste. Okay, so now we have something called candidates.json. I just called it this. You guys can call it whatever you want. I prefer to call files what they actually contain. Okay, so if you guys copy this command right here, and then you change this to candidates.json, what's it going to do? JSON's -server --watch candidates.json port 3001. It's going to start a server on port 3001 at localhost. And if ever we make requests to this server through this API, it's just going to magically update this file for us. Okay? So what does that mean? So watch this. I'm inside my project that I just created this morning. I run this command, and we can see that we have our resources hosted at localhost 3001/candidates. Okay? If I go back to our browser and I type this in, what do I see here? A whole bunch of JSON data. Okay, this is the data that we're going to be working with for this class. And if I open up Postman and I look at candidates, if I test this route, HTTP localhost 3001 candidates, and I click send, I can see that we get a 200 response back from the server. And lastly, if we look at our server, we can see that within the last few minutes, we got 2 requests to the index of our routes. So let's go ahead and clear our log. And I guarantee you, if I make this smaller and I make another request using Postman, I guarantee you we're going to see another hit to our server, okay? So watch this. I click send. I'm going to see a hit right here in the bottom right. Obviously that works. And we can see that the server responded 200, and we also got a 200 in Postman, okay? If I can do this 1,000 times if I wanted. Just know that this is a tool that Coder School has specifically selected for you, okay? Just follow along and just get this thing running with some default data, okay? In just a few moments, we're gonna be adding, we're gonna be removing, we're gonna be editing the data in this file using this tool, okay? So I've been talking for 12 minutes now, and I want you guys to get this server up. Successfully, guys, you guys should have a page where a user can just go to their home page. Oh, my bad, I need to start the server. I keep doing this. npm start. If everything has gone well, you should be able to go to your home page and just like click some links, right? Click some links to go some different content. One day it's gonna be something different. Right now it's gonna be candidates, okay? So we can look at our home page. We see our home here, about, we see about, we click candidates, we see our candidates page. So we have exactly 4 components here. Now we're gonna learn how to structure this correctly. Our app component right now is getting more complicated. So we're gonna create a new folder, we're gonna call this pages. Inside of this pages folder, once again, notice how it has a special icon. That means that VS Code is expecting a folder called this. Remember, if I type in Loy, I don't get a special icon. Loy is not an expected folder name. So let's go ahead and delete that because Loy is not special. Oops, let's just go ahead and delete it. Inside of pages, we're going to create a new page called candidates page.js. I'm going to go RCC, and there we go. We have our candidates page. So we jump back to our app.json. We can import this now. We do import candidates page from pages candidates page. Okay. Now I can delete my candidates page that I made here that sucks. Save. I'm going to put candidates page down here. Oh, I already did it. We saved. I expect everything to still be working. Save. Save. Click candidates. Does it work? I think it does. We just didn't stick anything in here. Okay. So we're going to type in an H1. We're going to say candidates page. I save, and we see this is our candidates page. Now what is the next step? We're going to just add a component did mount. Inside of here, we're going to fetch some data. Where is it coming from, guys? It's coming from localhost 3001/candidates. Okay. Const response equals await. We need to make this asynchronous. We'll look at our data, and we'll get this data from an await to our response JSON. Okay. If we console.log data, what are we going to see? A whole bunch of data. So if I refresh, and we notice that we're on our candidates page. We look at our data because our thing worked, and we have a whole bunch of data now. We got a bunch of data about candidates, right? But notice if I go to home, let's think about this. If I go to home and I refresh, Did we make that API request? No, because this is our home page. Our home page does not need that data. Okay, just imagine like if I go to tiki.vn, let's just say tiki.vn, okay? I click on Dintoy. I think that's what it says. Dintoy Mai Din Bang. I'm not exactly sure what that says in the end, to be honest with you. Right? So when I click on this page, right here, this one right here, Dintoy Mai Din Bang, I only want data for Dintoy, which is phones for our foreigner friends. I think it's only you, Sean, okay? Dintoy is phone.
He speaks Vietnamese.
Okay, well, I'm just showing off my Vietnamese. Okay? So just know that the pattern is this. If I go to tiki.vn, Dintoy, I expect to only have data about phones, right? And if I go to tiki.vn, I expect to see some other data about a bunch of other shit, okay? So let's look at our application, what we have so far, okay? Let's think about this, okay? I'm at localhost, I'm at my home page right now, okay? The home page just loaded. I'm typically gonna have a bunch of images and shit, some pictures, some text, tell people about who we are, right? What we do, right? If I click on the candidates page, what's going to happen? What's gonna happen in our candidates page? How many methods does this component have? 2. It has 2. It has a component and mount, it has a render, right? The render is going to return the valid JSX. The component then mount is only going to fire when this component mounts. So you guys will notice that once again, if we look at our app.json, right? This component, candidates page, can only ever mount if the user goes to /candidates, okay? It can only ever mount if you go to /candidates. There's no other situation in which it can mount. Actually, I lied, my bad. If I go to this, it will still mount, okay? That would work. So if I go here, candidates, it did in fact work. Why, guys? I literally talked about this like 30 minutes ago. Exactly, that's exactly what it is. Thank you for listening. So this bad boy needs to be exact, okay? Now watch, refresh. Oh, because I'm rendering that one, my bad. That's a poor example. That's a poor example right now. But just know that, like, that we got to use this exact sometimes, okay? So I'm going to delete this. I'll think of a better example later, okay? So I'm at my home page, right? Let's look about this. Let's clear our logs. I'm at my home page. I'm only looking at home stuff. Do I need candidates yet? No. I'm at about page. I'm reading about the user. Do I need to know about candidates yet? No. I click a candidates page. Do I now need to know about candidates? Yes. So now I got that data. And this data can only be found inside of the candidates page right here. This is where we're getting it, okay? Okay? And now, I want you guys all to draw me a candidate. Remember the robots app I showed you guys a second ago, okay? Draw a card for each one of them, show their job description, etc. Okay? So it's 11:45. I know it's lunchtime. You guys can go to lunch or whatever, but just know that in a second we're gonna draw all of our candidates, and then afterwards we're gonna edit them, delete them. Okay? Then we're gonna figure out more. Yes.
Because I know Alice, right? And can you write with the components only? You don't need we need the pages. If we do, it has to have a page folder, or can you just render the component?
So you should. Okay, so I understand what you're doing. Yes, you can render a component, but it needs to be called a page. Why? Because this thing right here, this candidates page is going to contain everything on this candidates page. Okay, it means right now it's overkill. The truth is right now it's overkill. But you can imagine that if ever we go to imagine how complicated this can get. Let's go to Tumblr. Okay, I don't have an account. I was thinking about cloning this. Look how complicated this page can get. It's got like some parallax effects, some shit sliding in. It's got a couple different sections. It's got images, and then it's got some more images, and it's got some pop-ups, shit like that, okay? So this is one page. So you can imagine this candidate page, this can get a lot more complicated very quickly, okay? So that's why we're gonna stick all this logic inside of an individual page, okay? Because each page will have a whole bunch of different logic, okay?
So a page is just a bigger group of components.
So it's just, they call it, it's really just a component, but it's a component that's going to take care of all the different pages on our app.
Related.
To this one thing, yeah.